Welcome to Information World. Today we're diving into a question many people ask but few truly understand: does the USA have a high IQ? And more importantly, what does IQ even measure, how reliable is it, and what does the evidence really say? This won't be a simple yes or no answer, it's a deep look at data, bias, education, environment, and what intelligence means in the modern world. To start, let's clear something up: IQ does not measure your worth, your potential, or your value as a human being. IQ tests measure a specific type of reasoning ability under specific conditions. Nothing more. And countries don't have an IQ, people do, and people live in all kinds of environments and circumstances. So, what does the data actually suggest? First, let's talk about what IQ tests measure. They evaluate things like pattern recognition, memory, logical reasoning, language skills, and problem solving. But these skills are deeply influenced by education quality, nutrition, childhood development, access to books and technology, and even stress levels. When you compare nations, you're not just comparing people, you're comparing entire environments. The United States is a fascinating example because it's incredibly diverse culturally, economically, and educationally. Across the country, you'll find schools with world-class resources and others that struggle to afford basic supplies. This unevenness plays a major role in IQ test performance. Some regions score much higher than others, which pulls national averages up and down. Now let's look at the big myth, that national IQ scores are fixed and absolute. They aren't. IQ scores across countries have been rising for decades, something known as the Flynn Effect. This rise happens because of better education, improved nutrition, modern technology, and more exposure to problem-solving tasks. The United States follows this trend too, meaning the country's average has changed significantly over time. Next, we have to talk about bias. IQ tests originated in Western cultures, using Western languages, examples, norms, and expectations. When you test large, multicultural populations like the USA, cultural bias becomes an important factor. People who grew up speaking English, reading certain types of books, or being trained in test taking often have an advantage that has nothing to do with intelligence and everything to do with familiarity. So a deeper question emerges: are we measuring intelligence, or opportunity? When researchers adjust for factors like income, access to education, neighborhood safety, and early childhood nutrition, IQ differences inside the USA shrink dramatically. This suggests that many differences aren't about intelligence, they're about environment. Now, let's look at comparative data. In general, the United States tends to fall in the upper middle range compared to other developed nations. Not the highest, not the lowest. This matches what we'd expect from a country with strong universities, a tech-driven economy, but also huge inequality in schooling and social support. But IQ alone doesn't tell the whole story. The USA leads the world in innovation, scientific research, technology, engineering, and entrepreneurship. The country produces more patents, more Nobel Prize winners, and more major tech breakthroughs than almost anywhere else. These achievements don't come from test scores, they come from creativity, curiosity, and a culture that encourages big ideas. Another thing to consider: IQ tests don't measure emotional intelligence, social intelligence, creativity, artistic talent, leadership, adaptability, or resilience. These are all forms of intelligence that shape societies far more than a number on a test. So, does the USA have a high IQ? The real answer: the United States has a wide range of intelligence across a massive, diverse population, and the national average lands solidly in the high, developed country range. But that average tells only a tiny part of the story. The environment you grow up in, your education, your nutrition, your opportunities, and even your culture shape how you perform on an IQ test. In other words, the USA performs strongly, but IQ alone cannot capture the complexity of a nation with over 330 million people from every background on Earth. So maybe the better question isn't how high the USA scores, but whether IQ is even the right tool to compare nations at all. Intelligence is bigger, broader, and more beautiful than one number. Thanks for watching Information World. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to follow for more long, thoughtful explorations about science, society, and the mysteries of our world.